Hi everyone, welcome to Tanya
and Tiana English. Today we have a video for you all about being sick. Yay! So we're going to share with you some vocabulary, some sayings, and some idioms for the cold and flu season. So stick with us.
I was talking with a student just the other day who recently put her daughter in daycare. And she said to me, it's easy to get cold at daycare. And so I said, oh, is the daycare cold, like they don't have heat there? And she said, no, it's easy to get cold at daycare. And I said, oh, do you mean that your daughter needed to wear a jacket while she was at daycare? And she repeated the same sentence to me. It took me a while to understand that what she was trying to say to me is, it's easy to get a cold at daycare. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that, it helped me to see how tricky it can be when you're learning another language, because just by leaving out that little word to get a cold meant something completely different. The way that she said it, it's easy to get cold at daycare, means that it's easy to get like chilly, like you need a jacket. They need to turn their heat up. It's easy to get cold at daycare. But what she wanted to say, what she meant was, it's easy to get a cold, like the sickness, a cold. And so by adding the word a or I could understand her better. So having said that, that made me think that it would be great to share with you some of the vocabulary and phrases and idioms, like Tiana said, that have to do with having a cold or the flu, since here we are in cold and flu season. So why don't you kick us off, Tiana?
Yeah, so the first one I have is to catch a cold. And so that's a little bit clearer. If you wanted to be sure that they understand that it's a sickness, you could say catch a cold, and they'll know what you mean.
Exactly. If she knew that she could say it's easy to catch a cold at daycare, then I would have known exactly what she was talking about. There's no way that she would know that, though, so that's why we're sharing these sentences with you. Another piece of vocabulary that would be helpful is stuffy nose. If we say that we have a stuffy nose, we mean that we're congested. And so what we mean is, like, when we talk like this, because our nose is all stuffed up with whatever when you have a cold, a stuffy nose is what causes you to sound like that when you have a cold. Or
so if you didn't have a stuffy nose, you might have had a runny nose, when it's like it's all coming down your face and you need to blow your nose a lot. Yeah, thank you. So yeah.
That's what we mean when we say blow your nose. It's actually blowing your nose.
Yeah.
Don't use your hand, though. You use a hanky or a tissue.
Yeah. Mom.
Just trying to be, helpful. Okay, all right. Another vocabulary word is the difference between coughing and sneezing. So to cough is like, that's what we mean when we say a cough.
And sneezing is achoo.
Exactly. And when someone sneezes in our culture, we say usually either bless you or gesundheit. And the interesting thing about gesundheit is that it is an actual German word. It means the same thing in German. I think it's because we have a lot of German people who came over to the United States and settled here, especially in the Midwest, the middle part of the United States. And so I think that's why we have some of those words in our language as well.
So, one thing we did when demonstrating a sneeze or a cough was to catch your cough or to catch your sneeze. I don't know. We wouldn't really say that.
Yeah, more we say to catch your cough, especially to children. I also teach piano, and I have a lot of students who are children, and if they cough or sneeze really on the piano, that's not a good thing because it spreads germs. In other words, the germs are what make you sick, and if you cough or sneeze onto the piano, then another person comes to play the piano, then they get the germs. And so I'll often say, don't forget to don't forget to catch your cough. So,
Or, as you almost said.
As I almost said, be sure to cover your cough or cover your sneeze. When I was a child, we would never say catch your cough. We always said cover your cough like this. Or but when I raised my children, I did a little differently. It was more common.
Say catch your cough, and you do it in your elbow.
Or even if it's not in your elbow, where you have a shirt. So for instance, if I'm not wearing a long sleeve shirt, if I have on a short sleeve shirt, I'll even go like this so that I catch the germs here. Why do we do that?
Generally just anywhere that's not your hands. Because if I was like, oh, high five.
Oh, now I've got your germs. You're spreading your cold all over the place.
Gross.
Okay, so, and speaking of that, another vocabulary, I can't say vocabulary today. Another vocabulary word is contagious. So when something is contagious, what we mean is if I have a contagious cold or any kind of contagious sickness, then other people can catch that from me or they can get it from me. It's contagious. So if I had something contagious and I cough into my hand and then do a high five like we did, now Tiana could get the same cold that I have. And in our culture, probably in many cultures, it's considered polite to keep your germs to yourself, we say. So if you have something, a cold, the flu, something that other people can catch from you, we say keep your germs to yourself by covering your cough, catching your cough, and also just staying home and taking care of yourself. Stay home and get some rest until you're not contagious anymore.
So
Other vocabulary.
other vocabulary is if your stomach's not feeling good, you might feel like you're gonna throw up. That's not good. Or other words, vomit, puke, and barf.
And those are a lot of the really common words you'll hear. But another way to say that is I feel nauseous. I feel like I'm going to vomit. So that's a more formal way to say it. I feel nauseous means my stomach doesn't feel good. I feel like I'm going to throw up or I'm going to vomit. That's just a little more, I guess, formal would be the way to say that.
Yeah.
So or some of those are kind of slang.
Yeah, like puke or barf.
Or upchuck. I'm just saying things I've heard.
I just wouldn't have thought of that one.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
Okay. Another vocabulary word on my list is if you get a fever. If you get a fever. So our temperature, our body temperature, in the United States we use the Fahrenheit scale, and so your body temperature, your normal body temperature is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 37 degrees Celsius. And if your body temperature gets higher than that when you're sick, as an example, then we say you have a fever. Oh, I don't feel good. I think I have a fever. Or I would say to my girls, let me check. Do you have a fever? And so that's a little piece of vocabulary there. Did we cover all the vocabulary?
I have one more for us, which is symptoms.
Oh, yes.
So symptoms are all the things that come up when you're sick, like having a runny nose or sneezing, coughing.
Fever.
Yeah, fever.
Congestion.
Those are all symptoms.
Yes.
Things that show up from the sickness.
Exactly. Very good. Okay. How about we cover some idioms then?
All right.
I will get us started off with to pass around germs. So that's what we are talking about when we say something is contagious. An idiom we use is that we're passing around germs. So you might hear a parent say something like, I picked my child up from school and they were passing germs around all day and now I'm going to get sick. So in other words, they weren't actually, here, you can have some germs and you can have some germs. They weren't like passing around germs, but that's an idiom that we use.
Or like similar to that is to like spread around.
Yeah.
Spread sickness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he spread his cold around. You might hear somebody say, John was really sick. I wish he hadn't spread it around. In other words, I wish that he had stayed home because he was contagious and now everybody's going to get sick.
Yeah. So the next one I have is get over it in a sickness. We mean when you're starting to feel better.
Yeah.
So like at the end of the sickness, you might say, oh, I think I'm finally getting over it.
Yeah.
So.
I'm starting to get over that cold. You're not actually like getting over the cold.
Right. You're feeling better.
Yeah, you're feeling better. It's almost to end. Okay, I have another one on my list. Feeling under the weather. Somebody might say this about themselves if they're not feeling well, like, I'm just not feeling very well. I'm feeling a little under the weather. Or if they might say it about someone else. It's a polite way to say that someone's sick without saying exactly what's going on for them. So, for instance, if someone's not at the meeting or at school or wherever, where is Susie? I think she's just feeling a little under the weather.
Instead of saying she was puking all over the place.
Yeah, that's not really considered polite.
Yeah.
In our culture, it's a weird thing, but we don't really like to talk about some of these things. So we come up with these more gentle ways.
You might hear, if you do describe it to someone, they might say, TMI.
Yes.
And that means too much information. Like, you don't need to tell me all of that.
Exactly.
So.
You could just say you were under the weather.
Yeah.
Or another idiom that is a little different but similar is I could say, I'm not really sure what's going on with me, but I think I'm fighting a bug. So I'm not actually like fighting with a little insect, but we call the germ or the sickness, the cold, the flu, we often call it a bug. And so we could say I'm fighting a bug, or we might even say I think I'm fighting a cold. I think I'm fighting something. We could say any of those things.
Yeah. And so one I have is fall asleep. So maybe if you're not feeling good, it's best to just go to bed, fall asleep, wake up the next day, and hopefully you'll feel a little better.
Exactly. You're not actually falling.
No.
You're going to sleep. So, and then my last idiom is splitting headache. This is what we say if our head is hurting, but it's really hurting a lot. You might hear someone say, oh, I have a splitting headache. And again, their head is not actually splitting open, but it could actually feel like that. And that's probably where that idiom came from.
Yeah. So the next one I have is coming down with something, like the flu or a bug or the cold, any of those. And you think you're getting a little sick, you're starting not to feel so good, you could say, I'm coming down with something.
Yeah, and that one kind of makes sense to me because when we're sick, it doesn't actually make us go down, but we do tend to lie down or sit down, or so I can kind of see where that idiom might come from.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other idioms that you had to share?
I actually have 2 more idioms.
Wow.
So I was saving my idioms.
She's the idiom queen today.
Yeah. So this one's kind of similar to the last one that I said, and it is, I think I caught, whatever it is, I think I caught a cold, or I think I caught the flu, meaning I got sick with whatever it was. And then, actually I have 3 more, so, well, 2 more now.
I'm going to think and see if I can come up with another
Okay. And the next one is taking a turn for the worst. It's not good. So maybe if someone's sick and then they get worse, like they get more sick. Oftentimes you'll hear this, it's like, it's not so good. It's like close to death kind of thing. If people say they took a turn for the worse, then it's really not good.
Or even if it's not totally like death, it might be, it got a lot worse. In other words, maybe you had a cold, it took a turn for the worse, and now it's something much more serious. You need to go see a doctor. Maybe you need medicine. It's not just going to be okay to wait it out, we say, to wait until it gets better. Oh, I came up with another one.
And I came up with another one too on the death thing. You might say someone's gravely ill.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So.
I keep thinking that I guess we can't cover every idiom.
Yeah,
Ever
a
known
lot.
to Americans love idioms, and so we have a lot of them. But we do have other videos with other types of idioms that may or may not have to do with being sick. So click on the little circle with the eye on it for another video about American idioms.
Yep. All right, so I have another one. Which,
Seriously?
Yeah. And which is, I am not feeling so hot. Which just means like, I'm not feeling good.
Yes, exactly.
So,
exactly.
yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean like that you have a cold or you have a fever. It's just I don't feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So, and then on a little bit of another topic, but still having to do with someone saying something about being sick, you might hear someone say something like, "Oh, you make me sick," or "That makes me sick." It actually has nothing to do with being sick, which is interesting because we have all these other ways to say sick, and then we use sick to say totally different things. But so an example would be something like, I was watching the news and I heard a story that was very upsetting to me. It made me sick. So you didn't actually get sick, but maybe you were really, really upset about it.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, I have one it's not upset. It's actually good. Sick used to be kind of a way to say cool. And I remember when I was little and I was taking swimming lessons, at the end, we got like a certificate, and my teacher wrote on it, "Your swimming skills are sick." And I didn't know that meant cool, and I was like, but what does he mean? Like, how could he say that? That's so mean. And
Yeah, and that's actually some American slang. She was a little too young at the time to know the slang. It's not as common right now, but you definitely will still hear that. It's sick. It's so sick.
Oh, that's so sick.
But it actually means it's so cool, it's so good, it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we wanted to share a little connected speech with you. Connected speech happens in all topics, not just in this topic. But an example that I wanted to share with you is you might hear someone say, "Oh, I have a splitting headache. I think I'm going to go to bed." Instead of, "I think I'm going to go to bed," they'll say, "I think I'm going to go to bed." Like all one, "I think I'm going to go to bed." And so this is your opportunity to practice sounding more like an American and try some connected speech. "I think I'm going to go to bed." "I think I'm going to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
You had one too.
Yep. So my connected speech phrase is, I could have caught a cold at school. And so you might have caught it at school, but basically it's, I could have caught a cold at school. I could have caught a cold at school.
Yeah. Now that I teach English, some of these connected speech things kind of crack me up.
I know, me
Or
too.
they make me laugh. I coulda coulda. Like, what is a coulda coulda?
It is,
All right.
It's fun to say. So
If you know any vocabulary that we didn't cover, or idioms or phrases, leave them in the comments below. Or just tell us which one of the ones we taught you today was your favorite one.
And we hope that this video finds you at a time when you're feeling well and staying well. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. And be sure to hit the bell. That's all for today. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.